TikTok and what's going on. My other Facebook channel. I'm getting ready to go live on my main channel and just yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? Salutations. I'm blessed to be here. Thank you guys for tuning in and checking in with me on a Saturday. I know you could be anywhere else, but for a couple seconds, I hope I get your time and attention. Um, so much to discuss. It was an eventful week. I went back home to Toledo, said goodbye to my grandmother, um, sit there and met my niece, and hung out with my brothers and my cousins for a little bit. See my uncle and see my dads, and I had a good time. Can't complain. The only unfortunate thing about my experience this time in Toledo is that um, we drove back, and as soon as we got back home, I felt very, very congested. So that's why you're going to see quite a few things. I'm going to go ahead and get those QR codes running now. I got my Ninja Cup right here. You guys see it right there if you guys need the Ninja Cup. I got my little mint inside there with the lemon juice. Trying to break all this stuff down. And of course, I got to have it with my sugar free Haws. So I got my sugar free Haws right there. Please make sure, if you do order some sugar free Haws or a Ninja Cup, that you guys use my QR code because I am an influencer. It helps me out. In fact, while you at it, see my little gear? Yeah, the Bass Pro Mesh Fitting Hat. I can pick that up on Amazon too. And if you guys just want to go ahead and see my whole Amazon store, feel free to go ahead and click the link, scan the QR code, whatever you do. But let's get into it. So, on my way back home, my wife and I were playing a wide range of music. Being that you guys know I've been on my spiritual journey and then walking closer to Christ, I've been really, kind of hesitant about certain spirits, certain things. And going back home to Toledo was a real test of faith because if there's any place in the world that's going to pull me back, I feel like it'd be Toledo. Why? I'm most comfortable in Toledo. All my friends still live in Toledo. I have nothing but access to everything that could potentially cause me to spiral down. Basically, Toledo gives me access to the things that I could use to cope with reality. But I'm happy. I did not drink. I did not smoke. I did not do anything, no fornication, no nothing. I came home with a purpose, and I left Toledo fulfilling that purpose. But on the way back, I was listening started off with some Erykah Badu. Me and my wife were singing, and our youngest likes to incorporate her playlist. And I tell her all the time, like, look, baby, your playlist doesn't go with our playlist. So if your playlist doesn't coincide with our playlist, then there's no way we can listen to your music. Anyhow, we try to because we're parents and we're human. We put her BTS music on. We listened to it. One thing led to another. The tempo got sped up. And before we knew it, I was throwing on some country music. I had worked in Mississippi a few years back and really got exposed to country music. And, man, I absolutely love it. So I got to singing it and everything. And we was having a good time. And Chase Matthews is one of my favorite country artists. He has a wide range of songs from gospel to love songs to songs about pride. And one of the songs, Where's the Smoke? I love it. It's one of my favorites, but he says, where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's fire, there's boys. Where there's boys, there's bound to be some girls with green eyes doing something, blah, 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 up to no good. Instantly, I was like, I didn't think of it because I was just enjoying it because it's been so long. And I was like, I could play this and not feel like I it's taken away from my faith walk. And as time progressed, me and my wife, as we hit the South, got to playing some of them joints we like. Because, in the South, you get exposed to something and it just consumes you. So I don't know how you call it. I like to call it like contemporary blues. It's people like Big Pokey and Pokey Bear. All these artists, and they sing blues, but it's like dance hall. It's a vibe. King Tucker, quite a few artists. And my wife had put me on to I think his name is King George. And we jamming the King George and everything. And we stop off in Huntsville, go get some gas. And I hear, well, no, let me just, before. They stop off in Huntsville, get some gas. And while they was getting gas, I turned on my TikTok because I'm like, dude, it's been hours. I want to see, what the statistics are with my last video. You know what I'm saying? Like, did I cross the 300 barrier or did I get shadow banned? And the moment I turned on my, my TikTok, this video came from this TikTok influencer, Isaiah Robbins. And if I'm misspelling it, I apologize, but I believe it's Isaiah Robbins. And I've been watching a lot of his stuff. But I want to share this video with you guys and get your sense on this. So take a look at this video. We're going to share it right now.
I'm a Christian. I'm going to stand on what it is to be a Christian. I'm going to stand on what it is to follow Christ. We don't go with the pastors and the teachers who are listening to secular music. We don't do that. We don't play Jay-Z. We don't play Taylor Swift. We don't play Billie Eilish. We don't play Lil Nas X. We don't play Beyonce over here. We are real Christians and we are rising. The fire of God is rising. Truth is rising. And the enemy is frightened. That's why you got so many people just manifesting. Doja Cat manifesting. Lil Nas X manifesting. They're showing you their demons right on the screen. They don't even know what they're doing. They are puppets, industry puppets. If you still listening to these people, if you still watching these people, you are headed in the same place they're headed, unless they repent. We do not mess with secular artists. We are Christians, and it's time we start putting more value on what it is to be a Christian. Our brothers and sisters in the first century church were killed, fed to lions, skinned alive, set on fire for different parties, for their faith. You think they were martyred and their lives were taken and their children's lives were taken because they stayed silent? No, they spoke up. And what they said was offensive to people who didn't want to hear truth. There is no such thing as a silent Christian. You don't just follow Christ and stand on the sideline. You become a trumpet for God. Your life is no longer your own. Your life is no longer your own. Once you present yourself as a living sacrifice, too many people have been in deception. Too many people. We just come to Christ and say a sinner's prayer and go back to living our normal daily lives. No. Once you present yourself at the altar of sacrifice, your life is not your own. Salvation will cost you your life. It's too many people out here saying it's free, like it's some kind of Geico commercial. No, salvation will cost you everything. To be a true disciple will cost you everything. People who are pulling you back, it don't matter if they're family or friends, you leave them. Your worldly life, you cut it off by the root. It's time to get back to truth. The Lord said there will be a great falling away. That word falling away is apostasia in the Greek. It means defection from truth. How far have we strayed, my brothers and sisters? How far have we come from truth, my brothers and sisters? Put more respect on Jesus. So many people out here are mocking the Lord. Why do you think that is? Because Satan knows his time is short. And if Satan's time is short, you better get right with God. Now is the day to make a decision. Now is the time to choose a side. You going with God or you're going with the devil? And if you are not walking with God, you're walking with the devil, whether you want to or not. I'm not like these other teachers and these other motivational speakers. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. If you are not following God, you're following the devil. If you are not seeking God, don't expect to see God when you leave this earth. Stop chasing material things. Stop chasing things in the world. Chase God. Matthew 6:33, seek ye the kingdom first and his righteousness. Seek God. Glorify God in all you do. May the
Woo! See, it was that video and that video alone right there, ladies and gentlemen, that just really had me all up in my head afterwards. I'm sitting there saying to myself, I got to drive 10 hours back and forth. And then, you got to take some potty breaks and things of that nature. So basically, over the course of 3 days, I spent 24 hours in the car. Yes, we watched some shows. Yes, we enjoyed ourselves. Yes, we had a lot of family time. But I love music. I will not deny that. I love music to a point that, sometimes I have to find music that really coincides with what I'm able to adhere to right now, because music is powerful and music does have the ability to influence. So while I was sharing that message, I had put this on my post-it note. It was Matthew 6:33. Now, I was not able to pull the scripture, so forgive me for that. I did not do that. But let's just get to the point. The point is, I felt conviction. I felt it inside my soul. I felt it in my heart, and I was like, okay, I got to do some things. I got to figure out some things. I got to decide if I'm going to be able to continue listening to the secular music or not. And I'm like, the music that I'm listening to is not what I would deem bad. So I had to defer to my wife. My wife is of the word. She knows the word like the back of my hand. So I'm like, okay, I defer to my wife. My wife gave me her perspective, and she kind of broke it down, said the seven fruits of the spirit. I said, well, okay, I could get that, because um, not all messages. I was watching this pastor. It was on TikTok, and he had to publicly reprimand one of his leads in the choir because they had said some disparaging things to the audience, the congregation, and he was like, "Look, if you're gonna say it in public, I'm gonna have to, say it in public as well." So he shared his 2 cents, um, and basically reprimanded his person. So with that message basically had me like, "Yo, you are right. You can." Not all gospel music is without scrutiny or without um criticism. So I was like, okay. And I was like, some secular music is not bad music. Like, I listen to jazz. Jazz is nice. I listen to lo-fi. Lo-fi is nice. They don't have no words to it. But even if they do have words to it, is it all bad? And I was like, I honestly feel like not everything's bad. It's really something that I'm going to have to pray on. So, what I did was I took the time, I prayed on it, and after the sponsor video, I'll be back. Skraitup.
Yo, salutations, everyone. If you enjoy the show, consider sponsoring the next episode. And I take shout outs, commercials, you name it, we can do it. We can do on air demonstrations. It don't matter. Just hit me up, send me a direct message, and be blessed. Straight up.
All right, we're back. We're back. Make sure you guys look at these handles. Add me to Instagram at John Lee from 1983. You can find me at YouTube at John Lee from 1983. You can also find me on Facebook at Ohio Boy Travels, which is the page you're looking at right now currently. And yes, I don't use it as often as I could, but I am on X, aka Twitter. And of course, you can find my inspirational or what I deem to be inspirational Bible verses on TikTok. So let's get into the meat and potatoes. All right, last time I was on air, my brother, the Hungry Black Man, had did a live about an experience. And let me just go ahead and break it down to you real quick. There was, from my understanding, a gentleman who Mr. the Hungry Black Man met and asked for some advice. He gave him some advice and basically said, "Hey man, cut your losses short, close down business." What ended up happening though is that these two gentlemen had a conversation, and from my perspective, from what I understand, the Hungry Black Man and this gentleman were decided to go into business and bring his restaurant from Miami to Toledo, franchise it. So, long story short, the gentleman goes down to Miami, checks out the place. He has an experience. He brings some people with him. And one of the people gets on there and they do a review. Long story short, they leave a review, but they did not purchase anything besides a beverage. And she found fault in the Hungry Black Man's establishment. Now, like we said, what I said earlier, the Hungry Black Man came to Toledo, and his first two experiences was Jay Mays and Rudy. Does Toledo have a plethora of thriving black restaurants? I don't know. It's been years since I lived in Toledo, and when I go to Toledo, I usually stop at Geno's, stop at Rudy's, but honestly, it's really expanded. So when I go to Ohio now, I stop at Skylines. I try to stop at Geno's. And if I can, I can. If I'm not, I try to go to Balance as well. Basically, diversity in a lot of black businesses. I cannot speak on how many there actually are because, like I said, I haven't lived in Toledo for years. So my interaction is real, small. I like J Mays. If I have time, I'm gonna get some soul food from J Mays. I like Jamaican spice. I know there's a new joint called Dewey Wings. And it seems like it's poised for the big dog because last week the Hungry Black Man kept his word. He dropped his PDF of a lot of businesses in Toledo, and I was looking at them. We have several food trucks, but I didn't see like a lot of black restaurants inside of his PDF, which, like I said, it's no big deal, but it also supports the narrative that there's not a lot of establishments. So if I am thinking like a Toledoan, they took offense to him coming at Rudy's and J Mays and giving his honest opinion about the food. And I possibly think maybe a vendetta could have been part of it. I'm not sure. But the gentleman went on live. He did like an hour um, conversation and he freestyled on the back porch like he is right now. And the conversation to me was good. It's very insightful because even though he ain't from the city, he's trying to do something for the city. He sees the vision and it's big. But it was very discouraging because when a large part of your business comes from public word of mouth. There we go. I had to find the right word. Word of mouth. Someone saying something about your business can be quite hurtful. So unlike the previous blind reaction video, I'm gonna try to listen to this as much as I possibly can, but I'm not going to hold everybody up for like 45 minutes when I already been running the clock for 20 minutes. As I said, my whole disposition is to learn as I go. So I want to get like bits and pieces and get the thesis of it. So we will be scrubbing. And that way, if you do want to watch this video, I strongly urge you to go to the Hungry Black Man on Facebook and find him and share it. And you know what? Honestly, I should have had like something for this. I did not think about that. I should have had like a pre-built, like, hey, go to this link right here. But it's real simple. The Hungry Black Man. But let's get into this video and let's see what it's about. Let's go.
In the early morning and right before I go to bed, like it's what I've done since I've been a child. Um, and then, as you get older, um, before you start actually praying, you take a time to just be quiet and reflect on your day, reflect on things that you really needed to just think about. I don't really use the meditation as a time to necessarily clear my mind. I use it to organize my mind. Um, and so when I started thinking about the young man who was hit by a car in Toledo, um, a black kid who was getting off a bus to go to school, or you know, and was struck by a 61-year-old driver. Excuse me, this kid uh, well, this child rather was lying in the middle of the road when first responders were either there already, or cops were there, and all of these cops were like huddled up on the side of the police vehicle while this child laid in the middle of the road on the cold road, no blanket, no human interaction, so that there's at least a heat barrier around the child, um, just lying there. And I started to think about what the folks, and this is a message for all cities, okay? And I was asking, what is my purpose in this city? Like, why am I here? Why am I doing all of this? And I realized that a lot of the Toledans were answering that, and because of my complete engulf, like almost manic like behavior on the people who were negative, I started to lose sight of what I was supposed to be doing all along. And they were diligent. Um, it's so interesting, right? The ones who had this message of like focus and don't get distracted, and don't allow these people to distract you. Why are you doing that? And why are you giving them all of this energy? And rather than me being, and I don't want to use the word humble, I'm going to use the word smart, because I was being dumb. Rather than me being smart and taking that advice, I started to create reasons to defend why I made a decision to do what I was doing, which was defending and attacking. I felt that people who were negative need to be attacked. Like there's never enough attacks for them. They just get the flourish, and that's a very selfish. Um, that was a very selfish dynamic from me, right? And so I have to apologize to the people who um, saw the real reason that I should be there, and I forewent.
As I said, I need you to go ahead and go to the Hungry Black Man and finish watching the video for yourself. Basically, what I took from it is this man had conviction, and his conviction led him to put a public apology because he's someone that is rather influential, and realized that he quickly got caught up in the negativity, what people were saying, and he was reacting, and he wasn't being smart. And hey, man, I've been there. I'm sure that any entrepreneur who's out there trying to make a name for themselves um, has been there as well. It's really a humbling experience, and you can learn a lot from it. And even though you've been in that experience, that does not mean that you won't be in that experience again. So, with that being said, I'm going ahead and break you guys down with a message from my sponsor.
Yo, salutations, everyone. If you enjoy the show, consider sponsoring the next episode. And I take shout outs, commercials, you name it, we can do it. We can do on air demonstrations. It don't matter. Just hit me up, send me a direct message, and be blessed. Skraitup.
All right, so we back to the broadcast. Let's go ahead and get back into it. I jumped to the 37-36 mark, and as I said before, this is a blind reaction. I just feel like this gentleman has put out good content, and even though I'm reviewing it to see what he's saying about my hometown, it's not for me to take all of his content and use it and try to repurpose it as my content. Um, Things that, like I keep telling everyone, I'm learning as I go, with the intent to really continue moving forward in this atmosphere of content creating. But as a black man, I feel like I would be doing this gentleman a disservice by taking his content and trying to repurpose it as mine. I just want to get to these key moments. So we're at the 37-36 minute mark. And as I stated before, he seen an experience where the TPD, there was a kid that got hit, and basically the humanity, and basically he's responding now to the negativity, making himself accountable. And one thing I do admire about leaders is when they are convicted and they hold themselves accountable. And he made a public apology because it wasn't about anyone else's standard, it's about his standard. And I can respect that. So let's get back into this video.
The perks, right? I took a perk when my tooth was hurting, and it did nothing. I mean, it took the pain away, but it's not something that I'm like, oh, I need perks, you know. Codeine, I can't even take that, right? So all that stuff that people do, like I can't do that. Alcohol, I haven't had a drink in 3 years, you know. So those aren't my issues. But when I'm in a position to eat brownies and cookies and all of this stuff, you know, it's I can't control myself. I'm literally like out of control. So that's why I'm saying, like, if I were in the fucking 80s and I would have tried it, I definitely would have tried it. And people sit there and be like, oh, like picking at crack. But when you look at it, it wasn't something where people were like, oh, this is this all horrible drug. You know, it was just like, hey, this shit is like, it feels good. So many of us, because of our anxiety, because of our depression, because of our mental state, we do things to make us feel better, you know, and that's what makes me feel better. You know, if I sit there and I'm like, you know, eating a donut from Krispy Kreme. I love the specialty donuts from Krispy Kreme, and they're sugary and all that shit, and I eat them and I feel great. Um, so you have to be able to fight that, right? And I say all that to say, you know, definitely I have a heart for addicts. You know, I just do. Always been that way, because I know what it's like um, to be addicted to stuff. But that personality, it will show up in other areas of life. So when you have these personalities, Oh, Jen, that's interesting, and I am. You know what? You are right. You are absolutely right, and I need to drink more water. I do. I drink water.
All right, so let me go ahead. I'm putting that on pause right now. I definitely appreciate and I wanted to share more of that, but it seemed like blind reaction sometimes with a blind reaction, and interacting with your audience while you are on a live can sometimes go sideways. So let's go ahead and flip it up real quick. When I was home, I wanted to do this. I wanted to share with you guys some pictures. Back in the day, I used to be an event photographer, wedding photographer, just a guy with a camera that loved taking pictures. And whenever I go home, I'm astonished by what I see in Toledo. I see changes, I see things all the time, and Toledo was this time was no different. Only thing that was different was I had my Sony, and let me go ahead and change up this caption. It's been on my TikTok. I got other platforms, but the biggest thing is, hey, you're gonna do anything, please check out my items on my TikTok at my live stream. If you got anyone, you got anything that you would like to purchase, please feel free to purchase from me. It will definitely help out greatly. But back to this. I was in Toledo and I took some pictures as always.